All right, you guys. So today, communication. All right, it is a much different ballpark than it is when I was working. Like I said earlier, we still at the internet. I'm not that old. I'm only 45. All right, but the internet wasn't perceived like it is right now. First of all, the bandwidth wasn't as big. Okay, and it was more perceived as an helping tool more than a replacing tool. Okay, people didn't really trust it, you know, for the reason I think thinking that if you're not in front of them doing the work, they can't trust you doing any work at home. It's, the good old adage, like a little bit like professor's story actually, because we are a lot at home preparing our classes or getting new technology or new knowledge on the class for you guys or learning them ourselves for you guys. A lot of people say, yeah, professors are lazy and stuff like that. Just ask my wife if I'm lazy. That's all I have to say. Okay, she'll tell you it's different the way it works, but I work 7 days a week from 6 in the morning to pretty much 10 at night. Okay, the thing is, it's different. So the internet was much more like that. People are like, no, it's not going to work through the internet and so forth. It has changed. Okay, quite a bit. So now you have definitely what I call direct communication and indirect communication. Direct communication, face to face. And I'll come back to that because you can have face-to-face through indirect through the internet also now. Okay, but the real face-to-face physically, like we are right now, you guys in the classroom, not you guys on the internet, you guys are indirect. Okay, that's from far the best communication because it's the most accurate one. Because it's taking in account the tone of voice. All right, and the tone of voice is extremely important, and I'll get to that after for the indirect. Okay, and it's real quick. If you have a problem, you can ask a question right there. Okay, so you can read out stuff fairly quickly, and also it could be a group thing. So all together can be there, so we can have all the leads all together, and then ting 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 ting, and we're done. Okay, and we can go away. Okay, now the indirect one using the internet. Okay, it's becoming very popular. One of my game right now is done like that. Okay, we do everything through the internet, basically. Okay, now it brings a couple differences. First of all, there's no tone of voice. You have to be very careful what you say and how you say it, because certain things can be interpreted the wrong way by the person, because that's how they see it, because that's how they've been raised, and that type of situation, that type of phrase and grammar bring them into that emotional feeling, that behavior. So you want to be very, very, very careful with that. You really want to pick your word very, very well. Okay, that's number one. Number two, if you do everything by internet, you need to be even pickier on the chain of command in communication. All right, if you're not very strict and disciplined on who talk to who and why and how they do that, you get to have a freaking mess. All right, and let me explain to you what's going on right now. An example actually of that. What I mean a freaking mess is that if the chain of communication is not respected, who need to talk to who and so forth, and basically everybody talks to everyone, okay, about their business, about the work itself, nothing gets accomplished. Because no one knows what's going on. Because everybody changes what they're saying to each others. You might say one thing to him, but I'm the boss, I say it's going to be green. And you're telling him it's going to be slightly green. You know what I'm saying? And then like, what the heck? When it comes back to me, it's not what I was asking, okay? And frankly, I have the best example I have is the product I'm doing right now, the Rocket Solvers. It has been, I told you guys many times over the semester how much it was a pain in the neck just because of that. Because my boss she's kind of a soft person, never told the people and employees in every department and in every position who they need to talk to, and that's it directly about what. So I had my music guy, my sound guy, I think he's an artist. I'm the one that got him hired actually, okay? And he did art classes with me here, but he's not that great. He's okay, but he's not a great artist. He's a much better musician artist, okay? So I put him in that position, all right? But he still thinks he's an artist, All right, I mean a graphic artist. Sorry, okay, and he's emailing my artist and posting on the forums, advice what they should be doing, and I'm like, dude, shut up. You know what I'm saying? You're making noise for no reason. Those guys have no idea what the heck they need to do after that. They don't know who they need to take orders from after that. Nothing's going to be continuous and consistent in our work. I'm the boss. You know what I'm saying? I'm the one that needs to talk about that. Okay? So, this is one of the main problems. Also, another problem, and I come from the same guy too, actually, is that he had nothing better to do every day, that everything that he was doing and emailing to everybody that was for real, let's say email me and saying, hey, you know what, I got that music done, do you have the animation, stuff like that, to CC it to everyone in the job, on the project. Meaning, if you have 30 people that do that, and those 30 people send, and that's nothing, 10 emails a day, and I'm saying that's nothing, 10 emails a day when you're working, okay? If everybody in the team, 30 people, send 10 emails a day, and it's CC to everyone, you're getting 300 emails a day. Alright? Out of those 300 emails a day, probably 280 have nothing to do with you. You are wasting your time reading it, and you cannot do any other way because it's people working in your team. So they might have something important to tell you. You know what I'm saying? So you have to read it. Anyway, I'm like, dude, I'm passing an hour and a half every day reading your email. And your emails are, woo, like that. I don't need to know that you're going to bed at 8 p.m. tonight. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. You're laughing, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that, So you really want to have, and my point is, you need to have a strict chain of communication. All right? The art team talks to their art lead, and that's it. If they have a problem with the art lead, then they talk to their boss. But there's no reason for them to talk to the boss without talking to the art lead. All right, they need to go through their main hub first, the main director, the main boss first, not the boss of the whole game. Okay, it's ridiculous. And department should be working with that department and not with others like that. It's crossfire. It's ridiculous. Now, also, it's the same guy. Okay, so I mean that guy just made my life really hard for 3 months, you guys, and it was just a pain. I'm glad I'm done with the project. I got one more thing to do for them, and that's it. But anyway, because of that, I'm glad I'm done with that project. That guy did not watch what he says in his email, like we talked at the beginning. And in his email, he actually is, at one point, he forgot to give permission to the artist to access the sound folders, so the artist can put the animations, okay, the cutscenes basically, and the sound guy can add the sound, the dialogues mainly on it, okay. So I asked my artists that day, my 3 or 4 artists, hey, you guys, we're done with a bunch of cutscenes. Finalize the rendering on those at that level, and then send it. Put it in the audio folder. There's a folder for every cutscene. Just put it in. They're like, yeah, sure, no problem, Arno. Goes in, and they email me back saying, you know what, we can't find the folder. I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah, there's no audio folder for us to see. I'm like, all right, there may be a problem. You guys must have a permission problem. Okay. So I emailed very nicely that gentleman, that sound guy, say, hey, you know what, we must have a problem somewhere, Those guys can't access the folder, the audio folder. And he got, not at me, he emailed directly those 3 or 4 guys, and actually send them an email like that. That probably took him an hour and a half to write, and takes at least 35 minutes to read. You know what I'm saying? And so my artists, have to read it. They have to read every email that comes in. So they read the email, and in his email is like, you guys are a bunch of jokers, pretty much. All right, but in nicer words, I've gave you guys access long time ago through an email link, blah, 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 blah. And I'm checking that. I never did that. Like, I checked all his, I can see his boss what he does and stuff. Never did that. And he's complaining. What happened is that, very simple, my three artists emailed me back, we never want to have anything to do with that guy ever again. I don't know. Everything has to do with sound stuff will go through you. We don't want to even deal with that guy. He's a jackass, basically. So I emailed him back and say, you know what, dude, you don't have the right to do that. What you did is totally non-professional. First of all, you can't go directly to my artist to complain at them. Second of all, you're the one that made the error. I tracked it. Okay, you're the one that forgot to give them the link. All right, to do that. All right, and never get another thing. Okay, and third of all, you don't talk to people like that. Look at your work first before you talk to those people all the way you do. All right. Like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm not been sleeping for 2 or 3 days very well. At last, you know what? He'll never get a job ever again in one of my projects. That kid. Never. All right. He used to be actually a friend of mine. He's not even a friend of mine anymore. All right. He's been acting like an idiot on this project. You know what I'm saying? Because he has like an ego. I'm like, dude, who cares? You know what I'm saying? So be careful with your communication, you guys. Treat people properly. We talk about it, it always comes back to that. Treat them properly, okay? So the net now is huge. And in the net, you have multiple pipelines you can actually do. You can use just emails, okay? And emails are good. And they are really good because they leave a trace. Okay, so watch what you're saying also in email, because you have a trace right there that can come hunt you down. Okay, which on the phone doesn't exist, or visually, personally doesn't exist either anymore, face to face. All right, so this is something you want to make sure you control properly your image when you do that. Okay, that's number one. Number two, you need to have for your communication, if you want to pass emails, and you have to. Using just email is not enough, okay? You need to create a communication system using a software, an online software like a Dropbox or Box.net. I think Box.net is one of the best ones for me. People use Assembler also. I think Assembler is a little trickier to use, for me. In the way that it requires, I think, a steeper, longer learning curves. And I'm not sure it's always worth it for small project. Okay, for very large project, yeah, probably, especially for coders because they can use Assembler to plug their code straight in. Okay, but beside that, I'm not sure. Okay, now Box.net, great. You can make all your folders. You can give the priority to people or not to certain folders and so forth. You can create threads. I don't think a thread, that's what my problem with Box.net. The thread is all combined. It's not separated per groups or anything like that. You upload something and you can, if you have access to that file, you can see it and do. So it's basically create a very, very big thread. Too big. All right? It is much better to be able to localize your discussions, okay? So the coders don't have to be dealing with art stuff when they come in front of them, okay? That's super important, okay? So you deal only with what you're dealing as your job, and that's it, okay? So you don't have all that noise on the side that's bothering you, okay? That's number one. Also very important that a lot of people don't think about that because you're working on the net, you might be working with different time hours. I do. My guys are up front 3 hours. Okay, what does it mean? It means when I wake up at 6 in the morning, it's already 9 over there. When it's 9 on my breakfast and most of my stuff, it's noon for them. All right? So pretty much after lunch, they're at 4 p.m. for those guys. Okay? So you want to make sure you get work ready in time for them to start early in the morning if they like to do that. I like to work early in the morning. That's me. A lot of the team will work late at night mainly. Okay, afternoon and night. Okay, well that could be an advantage too, because you can prepare the work at the other time and then give it to them. You go to bed and then they work. You wake up in the morning and the work is done. You check it out, send it back, and it keeps going like that. And that works very well. If you synchronize it well, it works very well. Okay, let me